Hey y'all, hi. So this is just gonna be a quick little laid back video. We had the camera set up in the overhead filming position, and while it was set up like this, I thought I would just give you an up close look at some of the products that I've been playing with and testing lately, half of which I am completely obsessed with and half of which I've realized that I'm kind of struggling with. I hope it'll be a fun way to spend a video, especially with this camera setup where you can see like the texture and color of things really, really well and really close up. If this happens to be your first time or one of your first times watching my channel, I hope you enjoy it. You know, I make videos about beauty and fashion. I'm interested in aesthetics. I like to give really thorough reviews of products that I'm testing. And I hope you'll end up subscribing and watching some more. Now let's go ahead and get into the meat of the video. Okay, let's start with something I'm really into. I've tried a bunch of things from Auric, but I had not tried Plush Ritual, even though it's not a new release. It is a lip mask, a ceramide lip mask, and it comes in 3 colors. One is this really pretty kind of milky chocolate neutral. And that's what I think of when I think of a lip mask. To me, a lip mask is primarily a treatment, something that I wear overnight. These came in PR and I immediately opened the neutral one, which is called Bare, and put it on my bedside table, and I've been using it constantly. I mean, the formula is incredible. And then the other 2 colors just kind of sat there for a little while before I investigated. One of them is a really pretty, soft, strong red, and the other is this one, Haze. Now, I know it looks like I haven't used very much of it, but this is the thing. The number of little dips in the surface of this product is the number of days it's been since I've opened it and tried it. I have not worn anything else. It is so beautiful as a makeup product. And I think a lot of you know, comes with a little jade spatula. Well, I guess maybe this is a quartz spatula. Bare comes with a green jade one, or maybe it's just random, I don't know. But I was surprised when I opened this and I saw that the spatula was a different color. So cute. Oh, and I haven't even ASMR. So ritual is absolutely the word, right? Because it's a whole thing. Dip a little out. I usually rub it into my lips with my finger. And it is just the perfect my lips but better color and also finish, and you know, incredibly nourishing. It's like wearing a lip mask during the day. So of course it feels really great and it's good for the lips, but I have to be honest, the thing that has caused me to fall for it so hard and to wear it every single day, as many days as there are dips in the surface, I mean, it's been over a week and it's just been this for me. It's the way that it looks. It's the way that it looks as a cosmetic. It's the brownness of it all. You know what I mean? It's like the brownie neutrality of this berry color. I just find it very sensual and alluring, enhancing, but also natural, and I had to share it with you. Okay, let's talk about something that I've struggled with. We're going to alternate obsessions with struggles. I've actually had this for kind of a long time. You might remember when it first entered my life. I think KOSAS sent it to me when it launched. It is the KOSAS GrowPotion. It is a brow treatment product. It might be lashes and brows, but my brows are my concern. So I just think of it as something that's for my brows. Here's the thing. I used this more actively when I first got it, and I don't have extremely scientific results, but I did feel like my brows were a little fuller for a little while. I think that it helps. I think that it works, at least to some degree. Not even remotely used up. There's like a ton of product left in it, and I just can't seem to commit to using it regularly. My brows are thinning out a little bit right now. What I find myself doing, and this is what made me realize that this had a place in this video, I put on all my skincare at night, and then I find myself sitting there thinking, gosh, I really wish I had something to put into my brows to help them be healthier. And this is right there on my table. Like, it's right there with my skincare. And I'm like, I really wish I had something, but I don't want to use that KOSAS stuff. I wish I had something else. So last night when I was thinking that, I was like, well, what is it? Like, why don't I want to put it in my brows, even though I think that it works and I really want help with my brows? Here's what it is. This doe foot applicator for a brow product, what the butt? I mean, this makes me think maybe it's also meant for lashes. And maybe if you're using it on your lashes, it's easier to apply it to your lash line because of love this doe foot applicator, but this is really awkward for painting the product into your brows. Also, it doesn't help me. It's like this soft paddle of goop. It flattens my brows and makes them take a weird shape. And I know that I'm just going to sleep, but when I've had products like this in the past that have brushes or combs as the applicator, I love applying them at night after I put on my skincare because I can use the little brush or comb to brush up my brows. And it's motivating. It makes me feel good. It makes me feel like I'm sort of polished and put together at the end of my skincare routine. Getting this out and using it to like squash product into my brows makes them go all wonky. It does not make me feel good. And then it dries to this like peeling white film, kind of flaky. And in the morning, if I don't wash my face right away, my brows look weird. They look like they are full of giant flakes of dandruff. Sometimes I just don't want that to be my reality the next day. I think that it works, but all of these practical things about the application and the texture are causing me not to use it. Okay, back to the obsessions. This, like the Auric product, is also fairly new. This came in PR maybe 2 weeks ago. It's the Dermelect Timeless Anti-Aging Daily Hand Treatment. It's a hand lotion. I would say that I have kind of a struggle bus relationship with hand lotion overall. I feel like I'm getting to the age where I should be really taking care of my hands. I mean, you know what they say. Hands betray someone's age even if whatever they've done to their face causes them to look younger than they are. Hands will never look younger than they are. And you know, it's not as though I'm desperate to look younger than I am, but from time to time I think, gosh, I spend so much time and focus on skincare for my face and taking care of the skin on my face. And once in a while I'll moisturize my hands if they get dry, but I'm not really helping them along the way that I am helping along the skin of my face. I'm not really caring for my hands. Sometimes a hand lotion will come into my life and it's like the KOSAS thing. It's like I just won't be able to get myself to use it. I'll like get it, put it on my bedside table, and then I won't, when the moment comes every evening to moisturize my hands, I'll just skip that step because I don't like having greasy hands at night when I'm reading on my Kindle, or I just don't like the feeling of applying something that leaves my hands like oily or slimy, or that has a very strong scent, which a lot of hand lotions do. Just like with the KOSAS thing, it's like cosmetic elegance. A question of cosmetic elegance keeps me from consistently taking care of my hands. So this came along. I was skeptical for all of those reasons, right? I was like, well, great. I mean, especially because it's specifically a treatment for hands of a certain age. It's exactly what I need in theory, but I was like, okay, but how's it really going to be? Well, here's how it is. I don't know how much you'll be able to see, but I'll describe to you. This is about how much I use every night. So I can feel it. I can feel it on my hands. It's not as though it's soaked in that desperate way that leaves them feeling kind of dry again, but it is somewhere I read, it's here on the back. Immerse your hands in a luxurious silken glove of moisture. Moisture? I don't know, because again, they don't feel at all greasy, but silken glove is the term. I absolutely feel like my hands have been coated in a silken glove of something nourishing, but it's not going to transfer, right? Like I could pick up my phone now, just seconds after having rubbed that in, start using the touch screen, and it wouldn't leave greasy fingerprints on the screen. Or my Kindle. I don't have my phone in my bedroom with me at night, but I have my Kindle, and I hate it when it gets cosmetics on it, especially if it gets like slippery or greasy or something. But I can go straight from treating my hands with this to reading, and it's fine. It has a light sort of spa-like scent, but it fades very quickly. That's another thing that makes it super usable for me. And so those qualities of cosmetic elegance combined with the claims, which, you know, I don't know if my hands are aging in reverse. Like, we'll have to check it in a couple of months and see, or after I've used up the tube, of course, I'll report back. But it's the combination of the cosmetic elegance with the claims being exactly what I want for myself right now. That means that I'm just super excited to put this on every night. And that's what matters when it comes to a thing like this. Because what use is a nice hand cream on your bedside table if you don't use it? Okay, something else that I've struggled with, and I forgot to bring the little applicator down here, but honestly, the applicator has been part of the struggle. It's all been a struggle. So this is a new lash enhancement system from Kiss that I thought was going to be really cool when I first got it, because whenever I apply false lashes, which isn't very often, I cut them into little pieces like this and apply them just to like the outer corners of my eyes to fill it out a little bit. So when I first saw it, I was was like, oh yeah, wow, this looks like I'm picking up what they're putting down. And then I looked into it further and I realized that it's a glueless system. They're tacky, they're pre-tackified, which is a great idea if the tacky stuff is strong enough to actually hold them. And then the third thing that's innovative about it is that the tackiness is on the top of the lash, not underneath. So you're supposed to take this little bit and stick it underneath your natural lashes and stick the glue that's on the top edge. I mean, it's not glue, it's just like really strong tackiness. Stick that to your lashes close to your lash line underneath. That also seemed like a really good idea to me. I was like, wow, this seems like it could really work. And I was super excited. I've tried a couple of times to use them. And here's what I think the issue is. The blocky shape. It's like the shape is designed wrong. And these are supposed to be the natural ones. They're not that dramatic, but it's just, they're so much longer than my actual lashes. The little dark line where all of them are attached is really dark and you can kind of see it, even though it's underneath my natural lashes. It's like this chunk that's there and it doesn't blend. I have tried a lot of different kinds of false lashes over the years, even though I don't wear them that frequently. I've tried them. And I've tried little bits like this where I cut a piece about this big. And in a lot of cases, they're beautifully designed and there's something about the trajectory of the lashes or the density or something that causes them to really blend in with my natural lashes. I've rarely run into this issue where I put on a little piece this size of false lash and it just looks really awkward, like sticks out at an awkward angle, doesn't blend in, can't get it to blend in. You know what I mean? And I even tried sticking like 3 of them in a line to sort of make all of my lashes longer and still it just looked terrible no matter what I tried to do. So I feel like they have a good idea and the execution is just really wanting because I've tried because I wanted it to work and no matter what I did, I couldn't get it to look right. You would think that the issue would be them not sticking, right? But it actually feels like the sticking might work. Like if you can get it to look good, the sticky strip might work. That's not the issue. The issue is that it works and it looks terrible. Okay, let's talk about something of which I have become an unexpectedly huge fan. I've had this for a while. I've applied it in a lot of videos and I've always said the same thing. It's really skincare-y. It's serum-y. It leaves a beautiful finish on the skin. It plays well with other products. I really like it. It's sort of a lighter green. It doesn't give me as much green as the L'Oreal 24-hour redness corrector that I have been using. It doesn't give me as much green and gray as the Exa green color corrector, which is pretty much my all-time favorite. The narrative so far when I've talked about it has been, it's pretty good. It's got some great qualities. I really like using it and it's nice, which is sort of faint praise for such a luxury product. It's the Givenchy Prisme Libre Skin Caring Corrector, the green one, and it's expensive. Here's the thing. Time has passed. I used up the Exa one. I haven't had it for a couple of months, actually. I've just had this. I've completely stopped using the L'Oreal Prime Lab. I've just been using this every single day, and I've realized that I actually love it. And I felt like I needed to come back on camera and give it its due. And the thing that I love about it is the thing that I keep saying is great. It's just, I feel like I've sort of undersold the greatness in the videos because it sort of snuck up on me. So you can see that it's not super intense, right? The white base isn't super intense. It does sort of sheer out. Again, it's not as green as other things I've tried, but it does do its job, right? You can really, really see how it's canceled the red in my skin, but in a subtle way. This is more what my neck looks like than what my face looks like, you know? And the red in my hands, especially because I've been like, you know, rubbing them and moving them around a lot. It does kind of mimic a little bit the redness that I have on my face most mornings. This is a beautifully corrected color for me, but it's not really about the color. It's the finish. I think you can see how it's sort of dewy. It's just really nourishing. Like it's not just lip service when they called it the skin caring corrector. It feels so good. It feels like skincare. And I find that when I mix it with my concealers, which is most of what I've been doing, just like slapping it all on my face and mixing it together, it causes my base to look and feel more like this. Like my skin ends up looking more like this in finish than it did before. And then any other base product can get it to look. It makes everything I mix it with more beautiful. It's like kind of what's going on. I'm going to be sad when I use it up, but it feels like a ton of product. It's probably not. Well, actually, 11 milliliters. Yeah, it's about the same as a normal concealer. So this is the Rose Ink concealer. It's 10.8 milliliters, and the Givenchy one is 11. So it should last as long as, for example, the Rose Ink concealer lasts me, which is months and months. So they weren't stingy with it, which is good. I haven't missed the one from Exa, even though I would still say the Exa one is the GOAT because it gives me a lot of pigment and it gives me that gray tone, and so I can kind of do anything with it. I love using this. Every day when I go to do my base, I'm like, ooh, I get to use the Givenchy color corrector and it's going to make my skin look and feel so good. So I needed to just come back and sing its praises properly. These base products, on the other hand, I'm still trying to figure out. They were kind of the inspiration for this video because it's a new launch, I believe, from Surratt, and I'm just starting to test them like this week. So I think I've used them on my face maybe 4 times, done a little bit of swatching for Instagram, and I'm just struggling. I'm struggling a little. I'm like still trying to decide my full thoughts, but here at this moment in time, it's a little bit of a struggle in sort of an interesting way. So it's the Dewdrops concealer, and the Dewdrops foundation is the more skin-like and serum-y of the foundations. So I kind of expected that from these, but that hasn't really been my experience. They're very gratifying to apply. So sponge tip applicator, which in spite of myself, I kind of love. All of the Surratt packaging, even when it's weird or different, functions flawlessly. The lightest shade is incredibly pale, and it's not too pink or too peach. It's just really, really bright, really white. That's shade 1. And then the second lightest shade, shade 2, is more on the yellow, or like, it looks a little peachy, but curiously, it's the one that blends in more to my skin. This one, the lightest shade, is really, really, really brightening on me. And this is actually the first issue that I had. The first day I sat down to test these, I went in with this one because I assumed it would be the better shade for me. I put it under my eyes and on my chin and started blending it out, and I looked really unbalanced. Like it was way, 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 way too bright. And it's just really, really pigmented and kind of stiff. I mean, almost dry. I don't know how much you'll be able to see that it's like this, but it's drying really quickly. You can kind of see there, right? It dried a little bit, even in that really thick swatch. Then when I started to blend it, it was stiffer around the edges. And it's just like this. It ends up being kind of quite thick, quite full coverage, as I think you can see. I'll show you them blended together because that's actually kind of what I've been doing. It's a much better match. The blend of the two is a much, much better match for me than either one of them is. So because I have both of them and I can blend them together, actually color hasn't really been the issue. I've been able to make the two of these work to even out my skin tone every time that I've used them. But it's been tough to get it to blend out. Like the edge will stick a little bit. I think that they're just more full coverage maybe than what I'm used to, or just they dry more quickly maybe than what I'm used to. The point of this video is that some of this stuff is stuff where it's like I'm struggling with it. So in this case, I'm in the middle of struggling, but the jury's kind of still out. It might take time for me to figure out how best to use this product. But I felt like it was worth noting because I just finished editing and posting my Surratt review. And in that review, I said that I loved the formula of every single product. In some cases, the packaging was holding something back a little bit, but the formulas I felt were all impeccable. In this case, I really love the packaging. I like those sponges. The color, again, like I'm making it work. And the formula has surprised me by feeling just a little stiff and dry. It just surprises me coming from Surratt because it's the first time that I've had a complaint about any aspect of any formula of anything that they've sent me. So I'll keep working with them and see what I can do. But I wanted to end on a high note that's sort of similar, but a high note instead of a low note, and a complete update on the Natasha Denona concealer, because I reviewed this concealer in my Natasha Denona video, but I had a different color. These two are Y1 and RN1. I think maybe I can't remember what the shade was of the one that I had in that video, but it was like the lightest, just neutral. Whereas one of these is the lightest yellow and one of these is the lightest rosy. But the lightest neutral was darker than either of these, and it was just way too dark and peach, I think, for me. Also, when I initially started playing with this product in that video, I had the same complaints about it that I have right now about the Surratt. I felt like it was a little bit stiff, extremely full coverage, a little bit didn't go a long way, and it just felt felt really, really super glam, full coverage, full face makeup that wasn't like what I'm after in terms of application process and in terms of the look that I want for my skin. And the color wasn't good. So it really felt like it struck out for me when I first tried it. But then I watched the footage back of myself testing that Natasha Denona makeup, and I was floored, absolutely floored by how seamless my skin looked when I applied just a tiny dot of this concealer and blended it out. Again, it wasn't quite the right color, but the finish was beautiful. Even when I was filming the video, I was like, wow, the finish is really beautiful. It was the one thing that I liked, but I didn't appreciate in the moment how beautiful. Like, I just didn't appreciate how good it was making my skin look. And what I've learned since messing around with it more is that it stays looking like that all day. It's just such a good formula. It's easy. The trick to making it work for me with the kind of skin I want is just using a little dot and then blending it out with a sponge. I have loved the way that my skin's been looking lately. And because it's pretty full coverage, it's really easy for it to cover the little scars and blemishes on the sides of my face. I just can't get enough of it. So clearly what I did was that I did not keep the original color. The original Natasha Denona haul was PR. This wasn't PR. I used some of my review budget to get these two colors, the lighter colors. It's funny, it is thinner and more lightweight than the Surratt ones. I felt like it was really full coverage and stiff and full glam when I first tried it, but it was like I hadn't seen anything yet. And now I have tried the Surratt ones and it's like, oh. All right, here's what we're gonna do. I'm gonna show you how they look mixed together. So can you see how the mix of these two, it's almost like you can't see it on my skin because it's blending in so perfectly. It has gotten me so much closer to my ideal color than I had even hoped. It's because both of them are pretty desaturated for what they are. This one's a bit too light and pinky. This one's a bit too dark and yellowy. But because they kind of have that desaturation, the mix of them is really close to the color of the Rose Ink Concealer, which is like my all-time best match. Look at that. The Rose Ink darkens a little bit as it dries. So really the color that I'm getting from mixing these two Natasha Denona concealers together, it's just as good for my skin as what I get with the Rose Ink. I love the finish of the Rose Ink and I love that it's really, really spreadable while also being very, very pigmented so I can get it to do whatever I want. The difference is that it's dewier. So it doesn't give me that like poreless quality, that super seamless quality, and it doesn't wear as heartily throughout the day. It looks beautiful throughout the day. It gets dewier. So with the Rose Ink, I find it's the kind of thing that sometimes I want to touch up a little bit later. If I only use it and I'm filming all day, for example, I'll like powder between videos just a little bit. With these Natasha Denona concealers, a lot of times I don't even feel like I have to powder. They set down a little bit more matte. They're really, really trying to get the skin to look airbrushed and seamless in that full glam way, which isn't the look that I'm always going for with my whole face, but just using a little bit and just blending them out really thin, I can take advantage of the fact that they're designed that way, and I'm really here for it. So just for comparison's sake, for color, look at this. It's so interesting. So hopefully you can really, really see that. This comparison reveals how desaturated the Natasha Denona shades really are. They're not gray toned enough, again, for me to just use one of them straight out of the bottle. I'm having to mix, but there's more gray in Y1, the Natasha Denona shade, which is definitely the comparable shade to Surratt Dewdrops Concealer shade 2. There's just a lot more gray in it. It just looks like a more neutral color. It's duller. It's not as bright, saturated, and peachy. And likewise, RN1 from Natasha Denona, which when I swatch it by itself looks really bright and peachy, it doesn't have that sort of glowing pink-white base that the Surratt concealer has. So these just are a lot more like my skin. And that is why I've been able to make them work. And I'm so glad that I found a combination of them that works for my coloring, because the finish, I find, is what dreams are made of. So that is it, just a handful of random struggles and obsessions, things that I'm in the middle of testing or wondering why I haven't been using, trying to make work, falling instantly in love with, things that I've been using constantly. All 4 of these are actually just things that I've been using daily behind the scenes that kind of become my tippy top best. And I just wanted to fully share that with you. And I hope you enjoyed this little video. Again, if you're not subscribed and you think you might like to be, I formally invite you to subscribe. Thank you for being here, and I hope that you are taking extra good care of yourself so that you can be the most effective version of yourself as you do your work in the world.